We've heard these 7 words over and over again from all the masters. What we focus our attention on grows, and grow it shall, whether for good or not. The seeds we plant in our minds today will sprout and live in the world starting immediately. My question to you is, what seeds are you planting? Where is your attention? Where is your focus? My name is Missouri, and I am the proud author of my Journey to Styletainment, A Life Stitched Together. So when I decided that I was ready to share my story with the world, I had to decide which parts of my story I wanted to share and how I wanted this book to come across, and what the purpose of the book was going to be for me. I decided that I wanted to do an inspirational book, and I wanted to share stories that were happy stories, but I also wanted to share stories that moved my life forward, and they were not so happy, some of them. And in writing a book, as you all know, you have to have someone to write the foreword. And Mrs. Joyce Hancock, that's sitting right next to me, we call her the lady with the golden voice. We met back in the mid-'80s, and I mean, we've been friends ever since. And you know, she's also, you know, within my life as far as fashion and just, you know, knowing my family and just so many parts of my life, that I felt that she would really be the person to write a foreword that would really be a representation of who I am and kind of cover everything that that would entice people to actually read the book and buy the book. So without further ado, I knew that you...
I think the first thing I said to you was go find out if there's protocol for writing a foreword. You know, do you need somebody famous to write the foreword, or somebody who's written a book before, or somebody, you know, well known in the fashion industry?
And what did I say?
Well, I insisted. You did your research and you came back and you went, no, there's no protocol, write the foreword.
I said, you're famous. I said, you're famous. Person.
It was my pleasure to write the foreword. It's my hope that the book touches people, and a part of me knows it will. My favorite books to read are motivational books. Anything spiritual, self-help, motivational, anything to move my life forward, and anything that I think will move someone else's life forward. And your book is definitely all that.
Thank you.
I don't think that writing a book is easy. I think that it must be grueling because you have to go so far inside, and yet the truth is always interesting, you know, no matter how painful it is. So what was the hardest part of the process of bringing the book into fruition?
Just being vulnerable. You know, just, you know, like, I'm writing and I'm like sharing from my heart, you know, my life, and you know, just, you know, thinking of, you know, strangers that are going to be reading my book, or friends and family that are going to be reading my book, and you know, like, how are they going to take it? You know, are they going to take it personal? Is it going to get them upset? Is it going to make them happy? Like, you know, just being vulnerable and people knowing, oh, you went through that, you did that, or, you know, making fun of it or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So God said, finish the book. And I was like, oh. So I had to like blow the dust off of everything. And I sat down and I just really went to work. And it's so funny because when I thought I was finished with the book, like I really put some time into writing it. And I sent it to my daughter to read it. And she said, Mom, she said, nope. That's not it. She said, go deeper. She said, don't worry about, you know, hurting anyone's feelings or tiptoeing around anything. Just say it. It's your book. And it was like it was like she gave me permission to just be free, you know, to write my story. And so the biggest challenge for me was trying to figure out, you know, how to share my story. And again, I wanted it to be, you know, I wanted to share the happy times in my life, but it was necessary for me to share those times that really moved my life forward.
Absolutely.
And they were not so happy all the time. And you know, and writing the different chapters, it's amazing how, you know, like the spectator or whatever you call it, like you're like reviewing it to see how it lands, and it's just such an interesting process. You know, for me, it moves me every time I read a story in my book, and I'm just so thankful that I'm still here to tell this story, you know, to share my journey and to leave this legacy for my family, you know, to always have, you know, regardless. I remember feeling like this knot in my stomach when I knew that books were ordered and they were actually being shipped to people.
Yes.
I was like, oh my goodness, I really did it. I can't believe I did it, and you know, how are they going to feel? And that lasts for like a short period, and then I just relaxed inside of it that I shared my story.
Absolutely.
And they just have to be okay with it.
You know, they don't. You just have to be okay with it.
Right.
How did you come up with the title of the book? My Journey to Styletainment, a Life Stitched Together.
My life, you know, starting with my Barbie doll and, you know, making all of her clothing, and you know, all through my story, it's all about stitching something, whether it's stitching clothing or stitching relationships or stitching something. And it was just a perfect subtitle, and I'm so pleased with the opportunity to share the story. And my prayer is truly that it inspires people to do whatever it is that they have been putting off, because it took me years to get to Styletainment and then to write the story and share it.
In every life, if we're paying attention, there are people that come into our life that make a big difference, that show us another side or something we hadn't thought of. So without giving too much away, I want to know a little bit about Mr. Shorty.
The name is so befitting.
I like the name too, because he sounds like a jolly person, you know.
He was smiling and he was happy, and then the next time that we saw Mr. Shorty, he and Mom was bringing groceries into the house, and not only did they, like, we'd never seen so much food before. And they had all this food, and you know, all of our favorites, you know, like every one of us, you know, like whatever our favorites was, they had like 2 of each for us, and we were just so happy, like, oh my God, who is this man, right? And as I watched the relationship between him and my mom, I really felt the love. You know, I can go back to, you know, what Mr. Shorty did for me, and I don't want to give it away because I really want you guys to read the book so that you can read the story about Mr. Shorty. But, you know, what he gave me was priceless.
Wow.
Absolutely priceless. And I still, you know, I can still go to that place and rejuvenate myself and do all the wonderful things that you get from something good that happened in your life.
Yes.
You know, I can still go there and just draw strength from it, and it motivates me when I think about it. But I can still see his face today. He really loved my mom, you know, and he loved us, and he took us on like we were his children, you know. And I think one of the things that he really wanted to do was to show us that there was more than just the projects.
Yes.
You know, there was more to life than that.
Absolutely.
You know? And he did that. He did that for me, and you know, and I knew I was going to be okay.
Yes.
Because of what Mr. Shorty did for us. So it was life-changing, absolutely life-changing.
In chapter 1 of the book, you speak from a child's point of view of always wanting peace and love. Mm-hmm. How did you come to that? Mm-hmm. That was a desire of yours. was it something that was missing? Did you feel it was missing, or?
Yeah. Well, so I have to share this story because my mother's mother, so like we would go over there and they would get into it, and my grandmother would tell my mom to send us out of the room, and I would always just go like right around the corner and stand on the other side of the wall because I was my mother's protector, and I wanted to make sure that my grandmother didn't do anything to hurt her, because I've seen my mom cry a lot from my grandmother. And so whenever things would escalate, I would come from behind the wall and like give my grandmother like this mean look, like I could do something as a child. Not that I didn't love her, I just didn't express love because it was just so much.
Too much.
So much going on for me as a child. When I was young, I just used to always pray for peace and love, and for my mom to be happy, and for my grandmother to love us and treat us equally. But she just didn't have it in her to do it. But I have definitely forgiven her, and I feel her spirit as well.
What would you say to someone who has trouble forgiving?
I would just say that forgiveness is not for the other person. It's for the person that's holding the grudge, you know. And it's so important to release that for yourself, you know, and to free yourself up, because I think there's real freedom in forgiving, like really forgiving, you know, like you don't forget, you know, there's things that you don't forget, but it's important to forgive because it frees you up.
Relationships are complicated.
Yeah.
Even parental relationships.
Yeah.
I don't think all of them are, but a lot of them,
Yeah.
a lot of them are. And things happen in a parent's life that they may not always be able to explain to us, like what happened, what the tension was, or what was going on with your grandmother.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it brought you to who you are today. One of the things that I love about your book is your love for your mom comes through in the book.
Yeah.
It does. It comes through. It's palpable. You can feel it.
Oh, thank you, Joyce.
And the love you had for your mom stemmed out of the love she had for you.
It did. Yeah, it was obvious. My mom was an incredible woman. She really, really was. I mean, she was a mother of 7 children that she primarily raised on her own until we met the infamous Mr. Shorty. We talked about in the book. And but yeah, she was just very strong and, you know, caring and loving and such a protector.
And the name, Styletainment, extraordinary, very unique. How did you come up with that?
You know, so back in the 80s when I won Designer of the Year, John Blassingame, right? And, you know, so I would enter into other competitions, and at some point they'd stop letting me enter because they knew I was going to win.
That you were going to.
So I got invited to actually, as opposed to participate in the competition, I got invited to actually be the entertainment because they knew that I could wow the audience.
Okay.
So that's when I made the first set of 7 capes. Decided that it was time to bring my lifelong dream, you know, into the world after, you know, going through cancer and sitting in my chemo chair, and learning that there was a need to support homeless women with cancer as well. By talking to the social workers, I sat in my chair and I said, you know, if I had all the money in the world, what would I be doing with my life now? And my little 9-year-old self, you know, said, remember you said you was going to do that show?
A show.
Big show, right?
Okay.
Like looking at different words, and it just flowed out, Styletainment.
Styletainment.
It just flowed like a natural
Yes.
entertainment, and I was like, that's it. That is who we are, Styletainment.
So you felt that immediately?
I felt it immediately. I felt it immediately. I knew like I searched and there was nothing out there like it. I was like, I'm taking that name.
So if Webster, the dictionary folks came to you and they said, give us a definition of styletainment.
Yeah, styletainment.
What would your definition be?
Well, I can give you this one, like styletainment rolled off my tongue, right? So it's really, it's an infusement of style and entertainment. It's like not a fashion show. Fashion shows are straight runway. The majority of them are straight runway and stone face and all that. But styletainment is really about entertainment and fashion in motion, and having each individual cast member like bring their A game, like bring all of them, and like move the way they move and not keep them still or stuck. It's truly about entertainment at its finest.
I know part of your story is also a cancer survivor's story, but we won't go into that now. You should read the book. Ultimately, Missouri's story is a story of love of life, and making the best of it no matter what. My desire for you as you read Missouri's story is that you will be inspired and motivated to go after your dreams. Do the thing that is tucked away secretly in your heart and take the next step to living your best life. And I would venture to say that is what Missouri had in mind sharing her story.